G'day, good morning. I'm Ryan Bridge. Thursday, the 5th of March. Great to have your company this morning. On the show, a family is calling for resignations after their loved one died in a shared cell at Mount Eden Prison. We'll talk to corrections about this first up this morning. And the government is deploying 2 Defence Force planes to the Middle East in preparation for civilian evacuations. We'll hear the latest from the war in Iran. And the Black Caps have crushed South Africa to reach the T20 World Cup final, thanks to a century from Finn Allen. We'll look at how he did it. Plus, we have a new All Blacks coach finally. We'll speak to the NZR boss, David Kirk, inside the next 30. First, Neva.
Herald Now News, powered by Newstalk ZB.
The Defence Minister says it has not yet decided where exactly planes will be deployed in the Middle East. 2 C-130J Hercules will be sent to the region along with 2 consular staff to be ready to help citizens in need of evacuation. Currently, 3,000 New Zealanders are registered with MFAT as living in the Middle East. The government is also in discussions with commercial airlines, including on the topic of charter flights. Concerns the Bondi Beach terrorist attack could have feasibly happened in New Zealand as government agencies warn of extremism. 15 people were killed and more injured after 2 men opened fire at the Sydney beach in December during a Jewish celebration. The incident's ripple effects have been discussed as intelligence agencies fronted a parliamentary select committee. NZSIS Director General Andrew Hampton says it's the type of without warning attack the SIS warns could happen here. A warning that farmers are facing a mental health emergency despite a successful year for the sector. Federated Farmers Southland says although there's confidence in the sector, morale among farmers is low, with a growing number feeling the weight of the industry's uncertain nature, regulatory burdens and social media hate. Southland President Jason Herrick says the isolation and pressures on farmers are a lot heavier than 30 years ago, and it's taking its toll on their mental health. The Minister for Vocational Education says variation across polytechs is expected as they return to independence. 10 institutions resumed standalone operations in January, following the decision to break up Te Pukenga. Otago and Unitec have seen a combined 150 staff leave in the past year, while others, like ARA, have been able to launch new courses. Penny Simmons says polytechs make staffing and program decisions themselves, and she says there are safeguards for students, including a $20 million fund to keep critical courses running in regional and remote areas. Water Safety New Zealand wants to see larger portable pools struck from store shelves. An associate coroner's recommending banning 400mm to 1.2 metre tall pools following the 2022 drowning of baby Majura Rapi Davis. Commerce and Consumer Affairs Minister Scott Simpson says he'll review the recommendations but balance between safety and allowing product choices needed. Water Safety NZ General Manager Gavin Walker says the simplest answer is a ban. The South Island may be the place to be this autumn, with wet conditions predicted for the north. Earth Science New Zealand's March to May outlook predicts higher than normal total rainfall for the upper and eastern North Island, and the weather's looking drier for much of the South Island and below average for the west.
Herald Now Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport.
The Black Caps have reached the T20 World Cup cricket final, courtesy of Finn Allen's 100 not out of 33 balls, the fastest century in the tournament's history. New Zealand beat South Africa by 9 wickets, reaching the 170 required with 7.1 overs to spare. Former All Black Brodie Retallick claims an eye for detail is what makes Dave Rennie the best choice as New Zealand rugby coach. Golfer Luke Donald has been named European captain for a 3rd consecutive Ryder Cup next year.
Just gone 3 minutes after 7 on your Thursday morning. Seascape. It's meant to be this country's tallest tower. Almost 190 metres high. Beautiful, expansive views of the water. 52 stories in total. A statement building for a city on the move. But for 2 years, unfortunately, we have seen this. Construction stopped, half finished, beams and nuts and bolts exposed. And then yesterday, The Chinese outfit developing this thing folded completely, gonski. So what happens to this half-cooked tower down by the wharf? Imagine the Sky City, the Sky Tower I should say, just with lots of scaffolding around it, just sitting there looking a bit ugly for a year or two. Whatever happens needs to happen fast. Why? Because Auckland is getting its mojo back. We've been walking through the city a bit, my husband and I, lately, and we've been looking at all the spots that all the politicians have been talking about. The convention centre, the CRL stations, the shops, Ponsonby, Viaduct, waterfront, and it's true. They are humming, they are heaving, they are starting to pick up again. There's a buzz in the air, and it's not just the politicians talking about it. Go and see it for yourself, it's happening. Even if we unfortunately have to look at this Seascape thing for a little while yet, someone out there surely will be eyeing a bargain and answer our prayers. Get in there and finish the job, polish that turd, help make this city shine.
Herald Now weather.
Good morning. What a great day we've got ahead of us. High pressure smothers the country with little going on till much later tonight when the next front approaches the deep south. So apart from some low cloud or fog for Dunedin and Oamaru, the day is good here with just a chance of showers later today for Stewart Island and Invercargill. Any low cloud or fog around Canterbury clears this morning, then it's blue sky for the day with afternoon nor'easterlies from Ashburton up to Kaikoura. Now, beautiful weather for the lower North Island. Just the odd morning and evening cloud, northerlies strengthen this morning for Wellington. All the early clouds around here clear, then the sun does its thing all day with 23 the high for Tauranga and 22 degrees out east. And the southerly eases this morning for Auckland. There will be some clouds around this afternoon there and also for Northland.
We'll update you on what's happening in the Middle East in just a few moments. First, a family is calling for resignations after their loved one died in a shared cell at Mount Eden Prison. Rob Fitzpatrick's death is one of 3 involving double bunking at the jail in just over 12 months. His family believes that their loss could have been avoidable. Investigative reporter Michael Morra reports.
Inside Mount Eden Prison, there have been 3 suspected murders in shared cells in the space of just over 12 months. The deaths have raised questions about double bunking and the protocols followed by the prison. One of those allegedly killed by his cellmate was whangarei man Rob Fitzpatrick.
In your mind, Ross, was your brother's death avoidable, and were mistakes made by government agencies?
Yeah, definitely. This whole situation was avoidable.
Corrections says risk assessments are carried out prior to deciding if prisoners are suitable to be bunked together. It's a system now being reviewed. Fitzpatrick was found dead in his cell in June last year.
For that to be his last moments,
Yeah.
and that he was alone, it's so hard to sit with, and I just can't think of anything else we could have done.
Rob, who had mental health issues, had been sending unwanted messages to a woman for a decade. In October 2024, the situation came to a head and Rob was served with a restraining order. Despite this, he kept messaging the complainant. In prison, Rob was buddied up with a man who had been charged with attempted murder in what police described as an extremely violent assault on another man at a Mangere bus stop. The victim in that case was hospitalised but survived.
We just want to know why those clowns running Mount Eden Prison, from the top down, from the general manager down to the people who were there, who signed off on a decision, why is he a good candidate to share a cell with someone else?
The families say they have not been told what the corrections assessment entailed or who signed it off in Rob's case. What they do know is that Rob's death in a shared cell is not isolated.
Do you have confidence, Ross, that things have changed or are going to change?
No.
After your brother's death?
No, especially since someone died just before Christmas, same thing, double bunked. I don't know. It's unless they need to change the management there.
Do you think he should still have his job?
No, he shouldn't have his job.
Dion Paki is the manager at Mount Eden Prison. Corrections would not address a question about whether he should resign when asked by the Herald. They cited various investigations and said while the family absolutely deserve answers, they were limited in what they could say right now.
Rob Fitzpatrick's alleged attacker has now been charged with murder. Lee Marsh, Department of Corrections, Commissioner for Custodial Services, is with us this morning to respond to Michael's story. Lee, thanks for being with me this morning.
Morning, Ryan.
Firstly, I know you will have reviews up the wazoo, I'm sure, underway. Would you like, first of all, to say sorry maybe to Rob's family?
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to express my deepest condolences to both Rob's family and the families of the other men who've tragically lost their lives within our facilities. As you've heard me say before, violence within our facilities is absolutely unacceptable, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that those responsible for this are held to account for those actions.
What are you saying sorry to them for?
I'm sorry that they've unfortunately lost a member of their family, a loved one of their family, while they've been in our care and custody.
Corrections has a policy, and Michael's story mentions this, of doing a risk assessment for shared cells when it's double bunking. Was the assessment done in this case?
The assessments are always done prior to putting two people in a cell, and it looks at the compatibility of not just the ability to mix people, but the ability to mix those two particular individuals. I can't go into the details specific to each of these cases today, because obviously we do not want to get in the way of holding those responsible to this to account. We want to make sure that that's seen through to its fullest. But what I can say is we are having a very close look at, firstly, the sort of information that's available to our staff at the time they make those decisions, especially when someone's first arrived into custody. And a lot of that information is initially maybe unknown to us because it's coming in from other agencies or in from the community. But we're also looking at, or we have immediately looked at, what happens in the days following the initial assessment. Now, what I would say is the assessment is not the answer to this. It's around the controls and processes and mitigations that we have after the fact. We can't expect just to do a risk assessment and everything will stay static from that point on.
So, was a risk assessment done in this case or not?
The risk assessment's done for all prisoners.
In this case, we definitely have a risk assessment.
As I say, assessments are done for all cases. I can't go into the details of that, Ryan, unfortunately. As I said before, I don't want to.
No, I know, but you're saying that they're done for all cases, which implies to anyone who's watching this that one was done for Rob, but then you're not saying one was done for Rob. Can you be more explicit? Was one done for Rob's case or not?
All I'm saying is they are done for all cases, understanding that would include this case. I'm not going to go.
All right, so we've got a risk assessment, and you're saying the risk assessment looks at the history of the offender or alleged offender, mental health as well. How do you put somebody who is charged with attempted murder and violent offences in a cell with somebody who's not?
The assessment takes into account a range of considerations, and it's based on information that's available at a point in time.
So you didn't know what they were charged with?
No, I'm not saying that, but again, I'm not going into the details of that particular risk assessment. Sorry, Ryan.
And why is that?
Because I don't want to jeopardise the trajectory of any investigation. I want to make sure for these families that the men who did these horrific crimes are held to account, and I don't want to jeopardise that. What I will say, though, is not only are we going to make sure that they're held to account to the best of our ability, but if any of our people were found to be negligent in their duty, they'll also be held to account. So we've just got to let those processes go through. I know that's unfortunate, an unfortunate situation to be in, and I know it can be frustrating for the family. We've committed to getting that information to them as soon as possible.
I understand that this is before the courts, the incident in the cell is before the courts, but how would telling us your processes leading up to that jeopardise the case?
Because I'm not going to go into what may have been available or may not have been available at a point of time. It is subject to the court inquiry. It's also subject to an internal corrections investigation, inspectorate investigation, and it's subject to a coronial inquiry, as all deaths in prison are.
Have you had legal advice that says releasing that information could jeopardise a case?
I don't have legal advice specifically in front of me,
right.
But we do not
so
routinely
on what basis
release
are you
information.
denying the family answers?
we're not denying the family answers. We've agreed and promised that we will share those as soon as we are able to.
With double bunking more generally, how do you explain 3 deaths in shared cells in such a short period of time?
It's an incredibly tragic situation, but I would like to put a bit of context. Double bunking is something that's used quite a bit through both our estate and internationally in other jurisdictions. What we've got to really put in context here is the Auckland catchment accounts for around 60% of our criminal justice volume within New Zealand, and the entry point for that is Mount Eden Corrections Facility. That is our one remand facility in Auckland. There are 1,300 men in that facility, and there is an incredibly large volume that goes through there. We would have in excess of 100 in and out moves per day. So it's a huge amount of storming, forming, arrivals, receptions, releases, movements to and from the court. It is an incredibly complex and large site in respect to the movements. So these risks do exist across the estate, but that is more acute at this particular site.
It sounds like you might be a bit overwhelmed. Do you have enough people?
Yeah, I think we have enough people at site. Our recruitment campaigns have gone really well. I was looking at it last week, and we only had 3 corrections officer vacancies at site, so our numbers are good. Notwithstanding that, though, we've looked at the process.
What about when this incident happened?
I don't have the staffing numbers to hand when that incident happened, but I understand there were sufficient staff on site. What I would like to say, though, is not just about the officer ranks. We've already committed to putting in place practice support on top of already existing practice support to support the staff in those custodial environments. We've increased our managerial oversight and our supervision, especially after hours, to make sure that we're doing the right things after people have been placed in cells. So it's not just about that risk assessment process, it's about the whole operation.
Is there anyone, now that you know what you know about what happened in this cell, have you reviewed others? Have you separated people because of this?
Yes.
How many?
I don't have that number to hand, but we have looked at some of how the decisions are made and the processes around when information is available to us. So, for example, if someone is celled together, they come in on an evening, they could be celled together 8, 9 o'clock at night upon reception from court. If more information comes to light the following morning, that decision's reviewed, and on some occasions those separations are changed, those decisions are changed. So we have that in place. We have a range of other changes we've put in on site specific to double bunking and high security, such as nighttime patrols, where we are conscious around things like response times and our ability to pick up on events as they occur. And I just really be clear that these events don't just happen in cells. They are horrifically tragic events. Prisons can be quite violent places.
Absolutely.
These things can happen in the yard and the wing. So we're making sure that we've got a higher presence of officers and that capable guardianship within the wings to support.
Lee, we are out of time, but I appreciate you being on the program this morning. Thanks so much for appearing. Lee Marsh, Department of Corrections Commissioner for Custodial Services. It's just gone 17 after 7. Back in a second.
Maximising productivity, what have you got?
Well, if we switch to 2 degrees, with Flex for Business, we can instantly manage data usage, employee mobile plans, and cost centre reporting, saving us time and money. Cool. I'll get onto that then. Mm-hmm.
We done few subdivision with GJ Gardner, and from the resource consent to the building consent, getting the council permits and stuff, always GJ Gardners are ahead and helping us out through the whole process, and it was so easy working with GJ.
Speaker to the acting Prime Minister, does he stand by all of it? You don't shout out like some bunch of clowns at university. My message to the unions is very clear. Don't use
The New Zealand Herald, news worth knowing.
Welcome back. It is 19 minutes after 7. We'll get to the AB's decision in just a second. First is some breaking news. The government has announced it's deploying 2 Defence Force planes to the Middle East in response to the war in Iran. In a joint statement from Winston Peters and Judith Collins, the government says 2 Hercules, C-130Js and consular staff are being deployed to the region to prepare for civilian evacuations. Mr Peters says the government cannot be sure when or how any evacuations might be possible, but want to be ready if and when conditions on the ground make it possible.
We're doing our best with the utilities we have. Thank heavens we've got this military aircraft to help out. Our team is working defence and foreign affairs around the clock, using all their experience to ensure that they can intervene to help them in the most safe way possible. So hang on. Of course, help is on its way.
We're still not sure exactly where the planes are going to be sent. Of course, safety is paramount. There are around 3,000 New Zealanders registered with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as living in the Middle East at the moment. All New Zealanders in the region are urged to register on the Safe Travel website. And overnight in the Middle East crisis, the US Defence Department has released footage of an Iranian warship being blown up near Sri Lanka. Have a look at this. This is the top of the ship you can see, and as we come down in a few seconds, you'll see what the US Defence Secretary, there it is, Pete Hegseth, says is a submarine attack, the first time an enemy ship has been sunk by a torpedo since World War II. According to the Sri Lankan government, at least 80 people were killed in the strike. The attack is part of a US military assault which so far has destroyed 17 Iranian vessels with the goal of sinking the entire Navy fleet. Meanwhile, Hegseth has also announced the US has killed an Iranian leader responsible for, they say, attempting to assassinate Donald Trump. Hegseth described the killing as the US president having the last laugh.
Also, yesterday, the leader of the unit who attempted to assassinate President Trump has been hunted down and killed. Iran tried to kill President Trump, and President Trump got the last laugh.
And since the start of the conflict, the UAE has more than 180 missiles, 800 drones being launched at its territory from Iran, one hitting near the US consulate in Dubai yesterday. Have a look at this. Dubai has long been a mecca for expats seeking opportunity, luxury, fast-paced lifestyles. If you've been flown up through there, you'll know what we're talking about. Terry O'Donnell does, Kiwi business owner living there, joins me this morning. Terry, good morning.
Hi, Ryan. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Very good, thank you. How are you?
We're actually good. It was a little bit freaky. We're into our 5th day now. I think Saturday night was, you sort of start your Saturday, you're doing your chores, you're going about life, and then suddenly you start seeing these funny things in the sky, thinking it's fireworks, but it's not quite fireworks night. And then we get an alert on our phones going, please take shelter, we're under missile attack. So, great communication, I must say, from our leadership here. But yeah, it was pretty freaky, I've got to say. And the sound of what we've all learned now is the sound is actually a really good sound because it means that the air defences are actually hitting the missiles. And, I think, Ryan, at the top of the show, you sort of said, we've had actually about 1,000 hits over the course of the last 5 days. And that's a combination of ballistic and drone, of cruise missiles. So it's been pretty full on, but everyone's good. We're actually okay. Yeah.
Terry, does it make, I know you've been there about 8 years from what I understand, does it make you rethink living in the region? I mean, we've had a period of this last year as well. Does it make you rethink where you are?
No, it doesn't. I think the UAE particularly, we've sort of been the friendly cousin in the middle of a, as you know, it's been a complicated region for sort of ever. No, I think this is a little bit of we didn't expect this. Living in the UAE, and Ryan, it's one of the most diverse countries I've ever lived in. It's got 200 nationalities that live here very harmoniously together. So I think it's those sort of humans that will all band together. So I don't think, I think there might be a bit of a blip in the road, But I think it's too strong. The economy is too strong. The ambition is too strong. I think we'll be okay.
Terry, you've got staff. I know you run a business there.
Yes.
Any of them want to leave?
So what we're doing, it's a really good point, Ryan. We're having to look at policies at the moment because I can't turn around and say you can't go. We're literally in a war zone. So I've got a couple of people who are going to be working from abroad in the coming weeks if they can get out. I mean, that's the other thing. Everything's closed at the moment, and so unless you're getting evacuated to your country, it's pretty hard to get flights. So yes, we have to be flexible about that. Because again, this is about people's lives. It's about, just doing the right thing. And we can work from abroad. That's what our business does. So yes, and hopefully we'll all end up back here. Hopefully this will end very quickly and swiftly and we can all move on.
Terry, thanks very much. Take care, look after yourself. Thanks very much for being with me
Great.
this morning. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Terry
Ryan.
O'Donnell.
Thanks for having me.
Kiwi
Awesome.
living in Dubai and running a business there too. It is 25 after 7 now. Some brilliant news for cricket fans this morning with the Black Caps booking a berth in the T20 World Cup final. They've crushed South Africa in the semi-final overnight with a 9-wicket win. Opener Finn Allen played a starring role, notching up the fastest century at a T20 World Cup by smashing 100 runs from just 33 balls. New Zealand was chasing down South Africa's 169 runs and got there in just 12.5 overs. The Black Caps will play either England or India in Monday morning's final. Great news. And the great news continues. From coaching the Chiefs to the Glasgow Warriors to leading the Wallabies, coaching in Japan, and now he's coming home. Dave Rennie has been named the All Blacks coach. So why did he stand out and can he steer us to victory at the Rugby World Cup? That is the question. Joining me this morning is NZR Chair and former captain of the AB's David Kirk. Good morning.
Good morning, Ryan.
Good to see you. How did I know how we know how Dave told his family, but I wanted to know how you told Dave or who told Dave.
Yeah, I rang Dave the morning. It was about 10:15 yesterday morning. We'd done a very extensive process leading up to it, and he'd been through all of that, including a nearly 4-hour interview the day before. And I picked up the phone to him at 10:15. He picked up pretty quickly when I called, and I was very pleased to tell him. He was quite. It wasn't like a big celebration. It was more like, wow. There was this feeling of like, wow, I've had a great honour, but also a bit of a burden loaded on me. I've got a lot to do and a lot to live up to. So he was feeling quite reflective.
What got him over the line in your mind? Was it what other people had said about him and what other people had said about Jamie Joseph, or his vision for what the All Blacks can be?
Well, it was a combination of things. We went to the environments and saw the coaches performing with their teams, so we had a very good understanding of how they interacted with the players and the assistant coaches and others. We had 5 very detailed referee discussions, took references from 5 referees, very detailed about their rugby and about who they were and how they handled pressure and all sorts of different things. Then we had this long interview with them. We covered a lot of things in that. But in particular, and both candidates were very strong in both these regards.
But what tipped it?
What tipped it was just Dave's international experience as much as anything. He'd coached all over the world. So that would be one. I'll come to the second one in a minute. So he's coached all over the world, as you said in the introduction. Very familiar with Northern Hemisphere rugby as well. And the game is changing a lot. And the Northern Hemisphere, in some cases, we don't like to say it, but it's true, are leading.
My dad says it must be true.
Yeah, well, there you go. France and to some extent Ireland and England are actually very good teams. And they're leading, and there's things we can learn from them. So people who've been in that environment were valuable. But probably even more important than that, it was very obvious to us that he had an understanding of the game that was fit for purpose for us, for New Zealand, for our skills, for our natural abilities, and where we come from, this little island islands in the bottom of the world. And he was able to articulate what it would take to win in world rugby.
David, Jamie Joseph has now missed the job 3 times.
I think twice.
Twice?
I think. Yeah.
What does it mean for him?
Well, that'll be for Jamie to determine, but I spoke to him yesterday as well, and he's a very valuable part of the New Zealand coaching environment. Obviously the Highlanders value him highly and New Zealand rugby values him highly as well. He took the New Zealand 15 to Europe last year very successfully. They had virtually no training together. He was able to build that into a cohesive, a successful team that won both their matches. So he's a very senior, highly capable coach in our environment, and we want to continue to give him opportunities to grow and develop, hopefully in the New Zealand environment.
Have you set any KPIs for Dave yet?
Not explicitly, but I think it's fairly obvious.
Win the games and then win the World Cup.
Yeah, the whole of New Zealand sets the KPIs, don't
And are we like sure we're locked in now? When he is our coach for the Rugby World Cup, we're not going to go switcheroo anymore?
He's our guy.
Okay, thank goodness for that. What about the assistant coaches? So he's going to pick who they are.
In consultation with New Zealand Rugby, and that's a bit of a change. Previously, the head coach has nominated their own assistant coaches even before the interview process, and the selection panel has had to deal with, okay, these are the 4 or 5 people who are coming. Do we like this 5 or this 5? We're just going just the head coach, and when we've got the head coach in place, we will discuss with that head coach who he's got in mind for.
Could they be internationals?
They could be internationals.
Could be anyone.
We don't have closed mind.
And in terms of the fact he's going to have to still be in Japan for a wee while, did you try and buy him? Can you buy him out of the contract? Was that a consideration?
It wasn't really, because it's not practical for the Japanese, and actually Dave didn't want that either. He's got an obligation. He feels absolutely committed to his team, and he's the sort of person who follows through on what he's been promised he'd do. So he will continue to coach Kobe through until they are knocked out.
He said he's got no loyalties. Was that part of the appeal?
What he meant was, specifically in that, he meant he's got no specific New Zealand Super Rugby team or provincial loyalties. He's not engaged in any one team.
Is that an advantage?
Yes and no. I don't think that. I mean, I think being a clean mind and taking an analytical approach to who you want to appoint is important. But I don't think there's any evidence that the previous coaches have been biased towards any region. They've always wanted to pick the best players in New Zealand to win Test matches.
What about the CEO job?
CEO job.
So yesterday was the coach, tomorrow the CEO?
Well, recently we've also had the Chief Financial Officer and the Chief Commercial Officer, so we're filling the chairs. It's not. I'd say the CEO is not imminent, but I think we have a lot of irons in the fire, and to some extent, the pieces on the board are changing a bit as we fit other people into it. We know when we appoint a CFO and a Chief Commercial Officer, they bring a whole bunch of capabilities that we may not need to sort of reproduce in a CEO. So the brief changes a little bit as we put pieces on the board.
Just finally, and I want to get a sense of how your confidence in Dave and the team now. What is your message to our competitors out there?
We're coming for you. We've got a bit of work to do. It'll take a bit of building, and Dave has said to me, and said to all of us in the panel that he's very excited about the South African tour, because he's going to have the team together for 6-7 weeks in a cauldron of competitive intensity, and that's exactly what we need in the lead up to the World Cup next year. Brilliant stuff.
David, good to have you on the program this morning. David
Thank
Kirk,
you.
New Zealand Rugby Chairman and former All Blacks captain. Let's get to Neva with news.
Herald Now News, powered by Newstalk ZB.
The Defence Minister says it has not yet decided where exactly planes will be deployed in the Middle East. 2 C-130J Hercules will be sent to the region along with 2 consular staff to be ready to help citizens in need of evacuation. Currently, 3,000 New Zealanders are registered with MFAT as living in the Middle East. The government is also in discussions with commercial airlines, including on the topic of charter flights. Concerns the Bondi Beach terrorist attack could have feasibly happened in New Zealand as government agencies warn of extremism. 15 people were killed and more injured after 2 men opened fire at the Sydney beach in December during a Jewish celebration. The incident's ripple effects have been discussed as intelligence agencies fronted a parliamentary select committee. NZSIS Director General Andrew Hampton says it's the type of without warning attack the SIS warns could happen here. A warning that farmers are facing a mental health emergency despite a successful year for the sector. Federated Farmers Southland says although there's confidence in the sector, Morale among farmers is low, with a growing number feeling the weight of the industry's uncertain nature, regulatory burdens and social media hate. Southland President Jason Herrick says the isolation and pressures on farmers are a lot heavier than 30 years ago, and it's taking its toll on their mental health. The Minister for Vocational Education says variation across polytechs is expected as they return to independence. 10 institutions resumed standalone operations in January, following the decision to break up Te Pukenga. Otago and Unitec have seen a combined 150 staff leave in the past year, while others, like ARA, have been able to launch new courses. Penny Simmons says polytechs make staffing and program decisions themselves, and she says there are safeguards for students, including a $20 million fund to keep critical courses running in regional and remote areas. Water Safety New Zealand wants to see larger portable pools struck from store shelves. An associate coroner's recommending banning 400mm to 1.2 metre tall pools following the 2022 drowning of baby Majura Rapi Davis. Commerce and Consumer Affairs Minister Scott Simpson says he'll review the recommendations but balance between safety and allowing product choices needed. Water Safety NZ General Manager Gavin Walker says the simplest answer is a ban. The South Island may be the place to be this autumn, with wet conditions predicted for the north. Earth Science New Zealand's March to May outlook predicts higher than normal total rainfall for the upper and eastern North Island, and the weather's looking drier for much of the South Island and below average for the west.
Herald Now Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport.
The Black Caps have reached the T20 World Cup cricket final, courtesy of Finn Allen's 100 not out of 33 balls, the fastest century in the tournament's history. New Zealand beat South Africa by 9 wickets, reaching the 170 required with 7.1 overs to spare. Former All Black Brodie Retallick claims an eye for detail is what makes Dave Rennie the best choice as New Zealand rugby coach. Golfer Luke Donald has been named European captain for a third consecutive Ryder Cup next year.
Herald Now weather.
Good morning. What a great day we've got ahead of us. High pressure smothers the country with little going on till much later tonight when the next front approaches the deep south. So apart from some low cloud or fog for Dunedin and Oamaru, the day is good here with just a chance of showers later today for Stewart Island and Invercargill. Any low cloud or fog around Canterbury clears this morning, then it's blue sky for the day with afternoon nor'easterlies from Ashburton up to Kaikoura. Now, beautiful weather for the lower North Island. Just the odd morning and evening cloud, northerlies strengthen this morning for Wellington. All the early clouds around here clear, then the sun does its thing all day with 23 the high for Tauranga and 22 degrees out east. And the southerly eases this morning for Auckland. There will be some clouds around this afternoon there and also for Northland.
Time now to talk business thanks to our partners Forsyth Bar. Oil and gas prices have stabilised overnight as markets get to grips with a surprise guarantee from Donald Trump to protect and ensure the Arabian Gulf shipping. Garth Bray, host of Herald Now Business, is on the desk. Garth, good morning.
Good morning.
So can you take a Truth Social post from Trump to the bank?
Or to the courts if you're trying to settle an insurance claim? Probably not, and that's why the markets are sort of scrambling on this one in the background. But in the foreground, I mean, if we look at the, I think there's a chart there that shows the oil prices have sort of stabilised a wee bit there, the Brent crude there, which is sort of hanging around about 81 something. 81.60 I think last time I looked, and that's sort of since this kind of thing took off. I mean, that was as, you know, there were some prices spiking at the pumps in the US, and the farmers and so on were paying, I think, a 23% increase in diesel fuel prices, so that was starting to feed through. And your gas prices as well have come back. We've got a wee chart on that showing that the European benchmark there, again, has drifted back, although it had really, really spiked up in the past sort of few days on news that those ports were going to be constrained. But yeah, you're right. So this Truth Social post basically saying that Donald Trump ordered the United States Development Finance Corporation to provide at a very reasonable price political risk insurance and guarantees of financial security of all maritime trade, especially energy. The traders are going, well, what does this mean? If it's a Chinese cargo in a European vessel, are you going to back that? This is not usually what the DFC is used for. The background to this, though, is that I think at about midday today, our time, a lot of guarantees on shipping are coming off because about half of the insurers, these are risk pools, your Lloyds and those kinds of people that guarantee maritime shipping, those guarantees were ending. If you are a ship and you don't have insurance, you're dead in the water. No one's going to take you into port. You're not going to push ahead. You can't do anything. You are dead in the water. And we had a real risk, I think one quite detailed analysis I was looking over last night saying this was going to be like the GFC, basically, where you couldn't get a price on things. Not that it would be too expensive, the whole market would collapse and you'd start to see oil futures go
so
through
in steps
the roof.
In steps Trump to go, oh, we don't want that happening because I've got midterms and I'm worried about affordability.
And the market's trading on this at the moment, but let's actually see the detail that comes out of it, right?
All right, very good. Let's move to Nicola Willis. Well, and actually Anna Bremen from the Reserve Bank on the cash thing that they came out with us last week, said we need more cash machines, we need more bank branches.
And while we're talking about people being blindsided, this is obviously, we had Kiwi Banks, Steve Yurkovich saying, hey, we weren't expecting this one. I think you had Nicola Willis admitting it wasn't too tidy. We've had Anna Bremen, the new Reserve Bank Governor, admitting this week. This is some work that Andy McDonald, the senior finance correspondent at BD, has been chasing. And admitting, yes, we got that one wrong. We didn't give us sufficient notice, and some questions coming because Anna Bremen talked about this the day before the release, just very briefly at a lunch with senior bank executives. But didn't communicate it fully. Either she didn't understand it was important enough to explain, or maybe she wasn't across the full detail herself before it rolled out, which is all, early stages. I think Nicola Willis saying, look, it shows she's committed to transparency, that she's sort of climbed down off that. But yeah, she's, I guess it's a touchy one, and more importantly, I guess Willis saying that she expects that the banks will be heard on this, which is quite a turnaround from this government that said it was going to sort of smash them effectively last year, or certainly give them a hard time.
Hey, very quickly, we're actually heading to Susan Botting next, who's our Northland reporter. To get there, you've got to go on that beautiful new expressway. But the second bit, Warkworth to Tahana,
is going to cost $2.1 billion, I think, and the government's going to have to chip in a 10-year loan to NZTA. This is Thomas Manch, Business Desk infrastructure reporter, because basically our markets aren't deep enough for three big consortiums to each independently go out and get backers for what would equivalently be sort of $6 or $7 billion worth of private debt to say we can go and do this. So the government's effectively got to step in and get this thing going, even though it's meant to be a public-private partnership where the private firms take on the risk and put it on their balance sheet. Just a bit of a sign that maybe our pool is not that deep.
Oh, well, that's not very good. We want to go all the way to Whangarei soon, don't we?
Well, that's 100 Ks and that's something like about 15 billion, so that'll be a real deep pool.
Right, thanks Garth. Herald Now business host Garth Bray. We talk business every day thanks to our partners Forsyth Bar. Let's go to Whangarei now. A whopping 10% rates increase might be slashed in half, but it'll cost you something. Susan Botting, Northland local democracy reporter with us. Susan, good morning.
Morning.
Now, I love this story because, well, I always love your stories, Susan, but this one, so yes, we'll halve your rates, but it's going to cost you. We're going to have more debt, or you've got to cut these services. And already people, I understand, Susan, are complaining about the library closing on a Sunday.
Yes, it's really interesting because, this is an issue that's going to be facing councils around New Zealand, the 76 councils. So what's playing out at the grassroots, when you've got the government talking about rates capping and limits of 2 to 4% increases in the future on the horizon, and the chances of getting more than that only happening if the council goes to a regulatory authority and applies, and only likely to receive money if it's an emergency fund for a civil defence event and that sort of thing. So we've got in Whangarei, the long-term budget sort of said, okay, this coming year we're going to have 10.1% rates increase, but now we're going to go out to the community actually as we speak, asking them, well, what do you think about a 5% increase general, or a 5% increase tweaked so that the residents pay a bit bigger share of the total pool and the businesses pay slightly less? So there's three options. And it's yes, if we do this, it's going to cost us $6 million. So I was just sitting here looking out at the gorgeous CBD of Whangarei with the sun hitting the Western Hills and the buildings looking sparkling, and thinking about councils are things that affect all our lives. And it's interesting because the library is something that was trucking along sort of like slowly in the background before the council meeting recently that decided, yes, we're going to go out to public consultation on halving our rates. And so there's people that want to go to the library on Sunday. This is the central library, the whiz-bang, gorgeous library. And one guy said to me yesterday, this is one of the best libraries around. It's not like an average library. So they want their library open on Sunday. And the council's shut the door on Sunday, citing costs. And I did talk to the mayor recently,
Susan,
who said that.
This confuses me, this one, because can't you just get the book out on the Saturday and then read it at home on the Sunday?
I heard this great phrase. in a post-Cyclone Gabrielle workshop. And it applies to all our lives. Everybody's big is big. And so everyone has their own lives and their own important things. And to you or to me, that may not be an important thing, but the people that it affects, it is. One lady actually...
Fair, but
Pardon?
surely the difference between 5 and 10% rate increase is a big for a big number of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, because this is the rubber hitting the road. What does it look like when you have to cut what you predicted was going to be your increase? And all the councils in New Zealand again are sort of cogitating about this at the moment. So it's going to be interesting in the next couple of months. The Sunday closure was quite interesting because apparently one disabled person came to the library on Sunday. She was talking to some of the opponents of the closures, and she was saying that I come here because it's easier to get around the building, there's fewer people. Another couple of young kids said, we ride our bikes to the library on Sundays because there's less traffic in the streets and it's safer. So it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Susan, one I know you will be watching for us as always. Thanks so much for being with us this morning, Susan. Susan Botting, Northland local democracy reporter from Whangarei. It is 7:45. Quick break, back soon.
Term deposit rates are falling, but your returns shouldn't. Speak to a Foresight Bar investment advisor about alternative strategies, their benefits and risks, and how they can help you meet your investment goals. Foresight Bar, investment advice.
A lot of radio shows like to say they're with you in the morning.
Here at The Hits, we like to go the extra mile.
Not all of us get to experience this.
Come on, you're running late.
It's going to be a great day today, babes. I can feel it. Spit. You see, when we say we're with you, we actually mean it.
Oh, don't forget Sarah, got social netball tonight. And Mark's working late again.
Jono and Ben with you in the morning and anytime on iHeartRadio. On The Hits.
Welcome back. It's only March, but already this year, 2 preschoolers have drowned in portable pools. Now, 2 coroners, as well as Water Safety New Zealand, are calling for them to be banned. These are the above-ground pools you basically blow up or construct yourself in your backyard, usually between around 40 centimetres and 1.2 metres in height. I'm sure we'll show you a photo of what they look like soon so you can get an idea. Water Safety New Zealand says they're dangerous as they're usually not fenced and often left filled with water. Gavin Walker is Water Safety NZ. Hi, Gavin.
Morning.
Good to have you on the program. So the coroner's report said that the 10-month-old, very sad case, in Papakuta, unresponsive portable pool had been left set up on the deck and the family home with a poorly secured ranch slider, inadequate fencing, and unfortunately this young toddler gets into the pool and is found unresponsive. So how do you stop that?
Well, it's a tragic situation that we're talking about, but it's one in a series of tragedies. We've lost 7 young New Zealanders this way since 2014, essentially since these portable pools came on the market. Many hundreds, if not thousands of them are sold every year, and they're set up on people's decks in their backyards, are often left with water in them. And when young people find their way unsupervised to them, they're a tragedy waiting to happen. So we're supporting the coroner's call for change. We believe that a simple ban on these types of pools is the most effective way to deal with the growing risk to young New Zealanders. Because every other option seems impractical in this situation. Why would you buy a pool that cost $150, expecting to spend several $1,000s and get a building consent to fence it in a complying way? And to be honest, that they need to be fenced to be safely used.
Right. But kids love them. You know, they have so much fun in them. I guess you weigh up. So you said 7 deaths since 2014.
Correct.
You weigh up how many kids get enjoyment out of it cooling off in the summer versus how many unfortunately lose their lives, and you're saying it's crossed a line.
Well, the 7. How many deaths are we going to wait for before we determine that this is too much? So prior to 2014.
I'm not disagreeing with you, Gavin, but you know, if you look at kids on bikes, for example, you know, kids go ride their bikes. Children lose their lives on the roads, lose their lives doing all sorts of different things.
Yep.
And they do those things because they enjoy them, they're good for them. But we don't necessarily ban bikes, you know what I mean?
You can still have fun, your kids can still have fun in the water without these types of pools. So if you're after a pool or even a portable pool, make sure you buy the bigger ones, 1.2 metres or higher. Those young children can't climb up into those pools, so that they don't present the same risk. Or have fun in a different way. Take your kid to the beach, to the river, to the council pool. There's lots of other ways. We're not talking about removing fun with this. We're just talking about a subset of the market that can't be used safely unless they're fenced. And all evidence is most Kiwis aren't buying these and fencing them.
All right. Really appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for clearing that up for us. That is Gavin Walker, Water Safety New Zealand. It is 8 minutes away from 8 now. To the UK, the husband of a Scottish Labour MP has been arrested on suspicion of spying for China. This is the partner of a sitting MP. The man is one of 3 people detained as part of a counter-terrorism operation in London and Wales, of all places. Although the men haven't been named by police, the BBC is reporting one of them is the husband of the Scottish Labour MP, Joanne Reid. Reid says she has never seen anything to make her suspect her husband has broken any law. She also says she's never been to China or raised any China-related matters in the House of Commons. 8 minutes away from 8. The thing about spies is, and I'm not saying he is a spy, but you're not meant to know, are you? You know, you're not meant to know they're a spy. That's the whole point. If you can't be an All Black, and let's face it, not many of us can, well, this could be the next best thing. Have a look. You can buy former All Blacks captain Richie McCaw's Christchurch home. The home, which comes with a pool in the upmarket suburb, of course, of Fendalton, is being promoted as a masterpiece of modern architecture. Flaunted ceiling glass sliders frame views of mature garden. There's even some American oak on the floor, a sleek kitchen, a butler's pantry, and it's close to all the good schools. The only catch, you'll need a spare $3 million to get it. They say when farmers do well, New Zealand does well, and there's good news for those who are working the land with a new Fed Farmers survey showing the majority of farmers are making a profit. Fed Farmers says it comes after some hard years of rising costs and red tape that was holding back the sector. Federated Farmers President Wayne Langford is with us. Hey, Wayne.
Morning, Ryan. How's things?
Good to see you. Good to see you. Hey, what's the story? You had any updates on or concerns from farmers about what's going on in the Middle East?
Well, I mean, that's a major export market for both our dairy and our red meat. So as the rest of the world is watching, we're watching that too. It is a concern, and both for what we're selling, but also what we're bringing in terms of fertiliser, fuel, and that sort of thing. So we're just as concerned as anyone else is, as you could imagine.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you don't know until, it depends how long the thing goes on for, right? And we've seen them be short and we've seen them be long, and in the most recently they've been short and it's kind of a blip and then it's over. So hopefully it's one of those.
I mean, fingers crossed. And I think that's why we saw the GDT jump up a bit yesterday. That's countries looking at their food security and saying, hey, how do we get a bit in the bank here? Because we may need it later on. So while we get a price rise yesterday, it may also switch around the other way pretty quickly. And so everyone's just a bit uncertain at the moment.
Yeah, well, I saw that auction. Why was the supply tighter?
Oh, it's just managing the supply, managing the market a little bit from that point of view. So that's standard. It goes up and down, and that's how they manage it.
So they pull back.
They can do, yeah, different times depending. Typically we have a massive milk flow during the spring when all our cows are making the most milk. That's when we'd pump a lot more out there. This time of year we're starting to rein back a little bit because we're not producing as much. So, yeah.
Wayne, let's talk about some of the great news that we're getting. I spoke to Todd McClay this morning about the export numbers for December 4 last year. Meat was up past 20%, dairy's up, tourism up, export's looking good. But for you guys, it must be a kind of a good feeling, although is there a little bit of, in your back pocket, a little bit of worry as well?
I mean, we're no different to anyone else. We know that when the market goes up, it can also come down. But we are celebrating the good times at the moment. This is a really good time for agriculture in New Zealand. On top of that, we've got an extremely good season. We're a pasture-based country, which means when it rains over the summer, we grow a lot of grass, and that makes a lot of meat and a lot of milk, and that's good for the country. So it is a good result all around. But yeah, when you're sitting at the top of a market, or what may be the top of a market, you're always cautious around what might come around the corner.
Wayne, lovely to talk to you, and thanks for being on the program as always. That's Wayne Langford, Fed Farmers President. It is 4 minutes away from 8 o'clock. We'll be back straight after this.
When building for investment, it's important to find a team that you can trust.
We decided to build the GJs because they're good quality that they always provide us.
They've helped us throughout the whole process of getting the resource consent to the building consent, and their contracts are very easy to understand. We have built 4 houses with GJ Gardeners, and it's just easier every time we work with them.
I'll definitely recommend GJs to all of my friends and family.
If you're thinking of building, choose the builder you'll want to build with time and time again.
Luke Combs, Morgan Wallen, Kaylee Bell, Jelly Roll, Megan Moroney, Chris Stapleton. All the country stars have come to play on the all-new iHeart Country NZ. Your new home for country is iHeart Country NZ.
For 150 years, public trust has helped generations of New Zealanders with their wills. Make yours today and ensure the things that matter go to the people that matter.
Know more of the story with Herald Premium, giving you full access to in-depth news, opinion and analysis, with more world news, business insights, and investigative reports from our world-class team of journalists. Plus subscriber-only functionality to comment on stories, access newspaper e-editions, gift articles, and enjoy crosswords and puzzles. Subscribe now to Herald Premium.
Welcome back. The time is 2 away from 8. Good morning. It is Thursday, March the 5th. Great to have your company on the show this hour. The company developing New Zealand's tallest tower, the 56-level Seascape in downtown Auckland, has collapsed. Not the building, the company behind the development. We'll talk to Herald property editor Anne Gibson about what now for the half-built skyscraper. Plus, rum and raisin ice cream is disappearing from shelves as supermarkets go for more modern flavours. Dave Latelli and Carmen Parahi will discuss whether it's yuck or yum on the panel shortly. Plus, he's one of New Zealand's most recognisable comedy voices and the man behind cult classics like Sports Cafe and Moon TV. Now, Lee Hart is launching another season of his podcast, Paid to Talk. He's here in the next half an hour. Presumably being paid to be here too. It is 1 away from 8. Here's Neva.
Herald Now News, powered by Newstalk ZB.
The Defence Minister says it has not yet decided where exactly planes will be deployed in the Middle East. 2 C-130J Hercules will be sent to the region along with 2 consular staff to be ready to help citizens in need of evacuation. Currently, 3,000 New Zealanders are registered with MFAT as living in the Middle East. The government is also in discussions with commercial airlines, including on the topic of charter flights. Concerns the Bondi Beach terrorist attack could have feasibly happened in New Zealand as government agencies warn of extremism. 15 people were killed and more injured after 2 men opened fire at the Sydney beach in December during a Jewish celebration. The incident's ripple effects have been discussed as intelligence agencies fronted a parliamentary select committee. NZSIS Director General Andrew Hampton says it's the type of without warning attack the SIS warns could happen here. A warning that farmers are facing a mental health emergency despite a successful year for the sector. Federated Farmers Southland says although there's confidence in the sector, morale among farmers is low, with a growing number feeling the weight of the industry's uncertain nature, regulatory burdens and social media hate. Southland President Jason Herrick says the isolation and pressures on farmers are a lot heavier than 30 years ago, and it's taking its toll on their mental health. The Minister for Vocational Education says variation across polytechs is expected as they return to independence. 10 institutions resumed standalone operations in January, following the decision to break up Te Pukenga. Otago and Unitec have seen a combined 150 staff leave in the past year, while others, like ARA, have been able to launch new courses. Penny Simmons says polytechs make staffing and program decisions themselves, and she says there are safeguards for students, including a $20 million fund to keep critical courses running in regional and remote areas. Water Safety New Zealand wants to see larger portable pools struck from store shelves. An associate coroner's recommending banning 400mm to 1.2 metre tall pools following the 2022 drowning of baby Majura Rapi Davis. Commerce and Consumer Affairs Minister Scott Simpson says he'll review the recommendations but balance between safety and allowing product choices needed. Water Safety NZ General Manager Gavin Walker says the simplest answer is a ban. The South Island may be the place to be this autumn, with wet conditions predicted for the north. Earth Science New Zealand's March to May outlook predicts higher than normal total rainfall for the upper and eastern North Island, and the weather's looking drier for much of the South Island and below average for the west.
Herald Now Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport.
The Black Caps have reached the T20 World Cup cricket final courtesy of Finn Allen's 100 not out of 33 balls, the fastest century in the tournament's history. New Zealand beat South Africa by 9 wickets, reaching the 170 required with 7.1 overs to spare. Former All Black Brodie Retallick claims an eye for detail is what makes Dave Rennie the best choice as New Zealand rugby coach. Golfer Luke Donald has been named European captain for a 3rd consecutive Ryder Cup next year.
Time now is 3 minutes after 8. A person has been found dead in an Auckland shed after it caught fire last night. Fire crews at the scene of the blaze in Otahuhu say they had no indication that someone was trapped in the building. Specialist fire investigators and police are looking into how the fire started. Meanwhile, a house in Panmure was destroyed in a separate fire overnight. 3 fire engines were called to the scene at about 11 o'clock. A Herald photographer said as crews battled the blaze, one of the occupants tried to run back into the house but was stopped. Police detained and removed her from the scene in handcuffs.
Herald Now weather.
Good morning. What a great day we've got ahead of us. High pressure smothers the country with little going on till much later tonight when the next front approaches the deep south. So apart from some low cloud or fog for Dunedin and Oamaru, the day is good here with just a chance of showers later today for Stewart Island and Invercargill. Any low cloud or fog around Canterbury clears this morning, then it's blue sky for the day with afternoon nor'easterlies from Ashburton up to Kaikoura. Now, beautiful weather for the lower North Island. Just the odd morning and evening cloud, northerlies strengthen this morning for Wellington. All the early clouds around here clear, then the sun does its thing all day with 23 the high for Tauranga and 22 degrees out east. And the southerly eases this morning for Auckland. There will be some clouds around this afternoon there and also for Northland.
From Skyline's statement to financial fallout, the company behind what was to be New Zealand's biggest apartment block has gone under. At 187 metres tall, Seascape was set to redefine Auckland's skyline, but now buyers have been left stranded and contractors exposed. Anne Gibson is the Herald's property editor and joins us live for the details this morning. Anne, good morning.
Atamani, Ryan.
So, this has been on hold for like 2 years now, hasn't it, this project? So was it a surprise to see the company going under?
Well, nothing surprises me with Seascape. It's been a very unusual project right from the start. The deepest hole said to be dug in central Auckland. So the basement itself is 5 levels deep, which is quite exceptional. Only a block from the waterfront, all on reclaimed land. So even its very inception was surprising. There's been a lot of litigation going on between the developer, which is Shundi Customs, and the builder, which is China Construction, for an extended period of time. In August 2024, China Construction suspended the contract for non-payment and subcontractors were ordered off the site. And there's been very little work going on that tower since August 2024.
And what happens now, Anne? Will we see very little work for another 2 years, 3 years, or what happens to it?
Well, there's 3 scenarios as I see it. The first scenario is that the receivers sell it. Now, I can't think of anyone right off the top of my head who wants to buy a partially clad tower with a superstructure up that is not yet finished and that has been exposed to the elements since August 2024 when everyone left. The second scenario is basically that it stays as it is for a number of years as a testament to failure on our skyline, which would be really unfortunate for Auckland. And the third scenario, which quite a few people in the sector are beginning to discuss at the moment, is New Zealand's largest building demolition.
Gosh, none of those options. I mean, I'm hoping, and that there's someone out there who's just going to swoop in and scoop it up and then continue with what was happening and everything will be fine. Are you saying that's the least likely?
Well, the problem with someone doing due diligence on a building as substantial as, what are we at, more than 50 levels and 187 metres tall, by far the tallest building in Auckland, apart from the Sky Tower. So New Zealand's tallest residential building, New Zealand's tallest freestanding building that can be lived in. How do you do due diligence on what the previous contractor did? Did they meet all the terms and conditions of the Building Code and the Building Act and the Resource Management Act and the Auckland Unitary Plan? Is 2 years exposed to the elements, leaving aspects like the concrete and the reinforcing steel in the building exposed to elements? How much of a concern is that? How do you pick up a building that substantial and know what you're dealing with? I mean, occasionally it does happen. Someone was reminding me that Brett Russell of Dominion Constructors picked up the big building up near Spaghetti Junction, the large apartment building, when that was partly built, and did finish it. And there's one at Green Lane, another big apartment building that a very clever builder, CMP Construction, picked up and finished. So it does happen. But this is such a substantial building. There's so much to this. And I know the neighbours are getting terribly upset because they see this as a huge nuisance in their neighbourhood in terms of, well, the visual appearance, but also traffic issues and also dust and nuisance from the actual building itself.
And who takes the biggest hit from the receivership? Is that the contractors, the investors, who?
Well, what I'm really worried about is a lot of locally owned subcontractors who owed substantial amounts on this. Now, these people in good faith walked into the site and did work on it, and they've been waiting to be paid in some cases since August 2024. Now, that takes a huge toll. And bear in mind as well, just in the last few days, we've had the failure of Teak Construction, which was on 5 sites, said to have completed about $900 million of worth of work and been in business for 34 years. Now, those staff are looking for jobs. So you've got you've got a real squeeze in the construction sector at the moment. Very unfortunate.
100%. And appreciate your time and analysis as always this morning. Anne Gibson, the Herald's property editor, on the fate of Seascape. It is 10 minutes after 8 now. He's one of New Zealand's most recognisable comedy voices and the man behind cult classics including Sports Cafe and Moon TV. Now Lee Hart is back behind the mic launching a new season of his iHeartRadio podcast, Paid to Talk. And he joins me at the desk this morning. Lee, good morning.
Good morning, Ryan. Big fan. Sorry, just checking my heart rate there on the Apple Watch. It looks like we're good to go.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was watching you look at your watch as you sat there. I'm like, Anne's not that boring.
You can get obsessed with these kind of things once you got one. You know what I mean?
So what's your heart rate doing now?
Well, it's gone up actually. It must be nerves coming on here. Big fan, as I say, but it's coming down now, so that's good.
So what is the point? It's Paid to Talk's very vague. I mean, it's basically saying this is my job.
Yeah.
So what do you
call any of the shows here, Paid to Talk?
Yeah.
And I think the idea was we didn't really have a name for it. So we just wanted to ensure that the powers that be knew we were getting paid for it. So when we invoice, they would say, yes, they are getting paid to talk. Let's pay them. So talking's a big part of it, and getting paid is a big part of it as well. So.
Hey, obviously want to get your take. Sports Cafe it's got sports in the title, so I'm.
Well, that's what I do.
Putting things together here. We just had David Kirk on the show. You'll know about Dave Rennie's appointment.
Kirky, yep.
Kirky and Rennie, thoughts?
Big call. I was a bit shocked myself, but a good choice. I'd like to see them keep it simple and maybe a bit of old school innovation. As you well know, my great uncle Kenny, back in the day, came up with things like the defensive bomb, which is a bomb behind your own posts when you're hot on defence. Hasn't been used successfully since probably 1954. Be nice to see that come back into the game, more skip passes, this kind of stuff. So we'll see.
Yeah, okay. And what do you think about Jamie? Do you feel bad for Jamie Joseph?
I've got to be honest. I was in the Jamie Joseph camp.
Were you?
Yeah. I don't know
He's more old school, sort of hard coach. The players, I think, were a bit scared, maybe.
Well, exactly. I remember you mentioned Sports Cafe. One of my first stories was going down to Wellington to interview him. I think he was coaching Wellington at the time, not even being sort of Wellington itself, not Super Rugby team. And I think they'd come off a loss or something. And my God, he was getting stuck into those players, big guys.
Actually?
Really, these full-on All Blacks, Lomu was in there, all these sort of people, but especially the forwards, he was getting in there with the tracksuit, throwing them to the ground. He was a huge man. They were scared of him. And I don't know if that's too old school, whatever, and whether he still operates that way, I'm not sure, but there was something about that I kind of liked. And I was kind of, and he's a great coach as well.
He is, yeah. So it's good to have two good options, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we've got one of them, which is great. We had cricket overnight.
Yeah, look.
T20, we're in the final.
Yeah, well, that's great news, of course. The ACC obviously covers that pretty well. I was up late last night. I should have watched it, but I didn't. I was actually researching the podcast, of course. You're doing that kind of stuff because, as you well know, a show like this or a podcast is nothing without research.
Exactly, which is what clearly I've done a lot of for this interview.
Well, yeah.
What guests are you getting on this season?
Sorry. Yeah, as I say, the shows are very much about research and guests, and both of which we're really going to amp up from our series. I don't really want to commit to saying, hoping you'd come on.
Happy to come on.
Week.
Oh, it looks a bit dingy.
Oh, shit. Well,
where is it?
That's the old set. That's at Batch up north. At the Eco Lodge, we call it. But now, for the new series, we've brought it in-house into the studio environment because it's going to be more hard-hitting, more political guests.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think we've got the mayor on next week. There'll be no softball questions, of course. We'll be going hard on him.
That'll be funny. Do you need interviewing tips from me, the producer?
Look, I'd love to. that could be... I'm hoping to use part of some of this footage in next week's podcast.
Oh, right, okay.
Content.
Great. So you just, take whatever you want.
I'll take whatever tips I can get.
Do you get paid more every season? Because it's paid to talk. Presumably, once you're on season 3, you paid 3 times what you were on season 1.
Yeah, that's how it should work. But I've sort of changed the invoicing system. I don't know if you recall the rock musician Chuck Berry, controversial in many ways. He's dead now, of course. But he used to invoice, 15 grand for a gig, which he's only supposed to invoice 10. He would invoice 15. Get the money up front. If the microphones worked and the guests were okay, and the band is okay, he would give 5 grand back. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm invoicing twice as much, and if everything works, I'll give half back. That way, I'm always getting paid to talk. There you go, so.
Good to see you. Come back anytime.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but come back anytime. Lee Hart, host of the Paid to Talk podcast, and you can get the podcast.
Oh, no, really?
Come on.
Radio.
iHeartRadio.
Yeah.
iHeartRadio. Brilliant. Good on you, Lee. Thank you. It's 8:15. We'll be back with our panel in just a second.
Maximising productivity, what have you got?
Well, if we switch to 2 degrees, with Flex for Business, we can instantly manage data usage, employee mobile plans, and cost centre reporting, saving us time and money. Cool. I'll get onto that then. Mm-hmm.
We've done few subdivision with GJ Gardner, and from the resource consent to the building consent, getting the council permits and stuff, always GJ Gardners are ahead and helping us out through the whole process, and it was so easy working with GJ.
Speaker to the acting Prime Minister, does he stand by all of
You don't shout out like some bunch of clowns at university.
My message to the union is very clear. Don't use...
The New Zealand Herald, news worth knowing.
Welcome back. It is 17 after 8 on your Thursday morning. Let's go to our panel now to talk about the issues of the day. Dave Latelli, BBM Motivation founder. Morena, Dave. Good to see you. Carmen Padahi, media specialist at the desk with us too.
Morena.
Good to see you.
Morena, Dave.
Morena, sis.
Now, Carmen, we'll start with you on Dave Rennie. Good appointment. Happy?
Yeah, he's good. But I was really looking forward to Jamie Joseph and Tony Brown. I don't know if Tony Brown was going to come with Jamie Joseph. I just hoped that they would come. So Tony Brown's been with the South African team, and so that would have been quite formidable. They did great work with Otago together and Japan as well. So I thought Jamie Joseph and Tony Brown, that I was definitely team Jamie. It also helps we went to school together, but okay. No bias
now
there at all.
Bias.
And he was also the Māori All Blacks coach. So Of course, Dave Rennie, he's good too, but I'm not a Chiefs fan. Therefore, I'm not that keen.
Dave?
Yeah, I mean, I felt for Rays. I'm still, it's really interesting because I've heard him speak. We're at a conference together, and he's really motivating, inspiring guy in the way that he can build culture. So yeah, I found it really interesting that with the revolt and all around culture, I guess. But looks like they've gone for a steady hand with Rennie.
Yeah, does too. We were talking to Water Safety New Zealand this morning because in March, and 2 kids have died in those portable pools. And they're saying just ban them, or any pool that's less than 1.2 metres, I think. You can buy them at the warehouse and stuff like they're cheap as. And kids love them. Kids have fun in them. I've confirmed it with people who have children, and they are loved. But how many kids die before you say, oh no, actually it's not that fun anymore?
Yeah, and part of the issue is height. So when there's a height, depending on the height will depend on whether you actually have to fence it. And in one of the cases, they did actually need to have fences up, or enclosed and safety around the pool. So even it's portable and small, you need to check whether there are restrictions. But people can die, kids can die in buckets of water. And so it is actually, it's a very challenging thing. And children, they're terrible because they just see water and they just go for it. And it doesn't matter how hard you do keep a watch of them. It only takes a minute or 2 and then that's it. Your back's turned. You're distracted by other kids, you're distracted by what's going on. I know this because this has happened in our family. We're very lucky that my mum was able to bring my nephew back. It's very close to my heart, and I do understand we just need to be careful. Kids love water.
You just got to I think you got to get rid of them.
Do you reckon?
I hate to be the fun police, but it's interesting when if you're wanting to build a pool in your backyard, there's all types of rules and regulations and consents you've got to get. But you can easily just go and get a portable one and put up anywhere.
I think that's the problem, is that it's so easy to put them up.
Yeah.
That who's going to do a fence?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you just
But
blow
you're
them.
supposed to, and people don't know the rules enough
Like
to
you
know.
say, Carmen, only takes a second.
Yeah.
So do you reckon, because it's very sad, thank goodness your mum was there.
Yeah.
Even though you'd been through that experience, do you think we should ban them or shouldn't ban them?
I'm on the fence on this one.
Yeah, I sensed you
Sorry
were.
to use that.
But
I hear what Dave said, especially the portable ones. But we've covered enough stories where kids will be in a bucket, and just playing with water, and it just.
And a lot of our Māori Pacific kids can't swim. I didn't learn to swim at school.
Yeah.
One of the first things we did from a young age for my youngest boy, Brooke, is to put him in swimming classes. He still goes today, but not everyone has that luxury.
Yeah. And you can teach babies water safety, but that's still not going to stop them from hightailing it as soon as your back's turned to wherever the water is. It could be a small pond, it could be all sorts. So, yeah, we've done so many stories over the years of kids in waterways and pools and everything.
Now, proceeds of crime, what would you expect to keep more of the money? So the 200k that this is the couple in Christchurch or Canterbury that had the money in the roof, and then they called the police and said, I think it might be from crime. So it was cash. But the story gets murky.
Why would they speak up? Why would they tell the police? It reminds me of. I'll tell you a little quick story around my uncle, who is reformed now, was being chased by the police after robbing an armoured truck. I remember one time he gave us some coins to play Spaces still in the ASB bank bag, but that's another story. But they were throwing out cash when they knew they were going to get caught, throwing out the bag, and no one handed it in. You don't hand that stuff in. You find it, especially in your roof of your house.
Yeah, but these were honest people.
Wallet.
I would
hand that in.
I would have handed it in, but then because if you find stuff and you give it to police, if the owner never comes forward, they give it back to you.
Yes.
You get it back, right? So the fact that the police didn't try it, these guys were very honest. They found it. They knew it. Oh, this can't be good. Gave it in. And then the police wanted to keep the whole lot, and they had to go to court.
Yeah, but the kicker in the story is that the reason they phoned police and got police involved is because they were scared that it was drug money and that someone was going to come in the house. And so
they own the house, or
yes. And the police came and put security cameras up and stuff. Like, so there's more to the.
I would have sold the house and moved.
Yeah, that is.
And upgraded my house.
Yeah. Because
with the money you just.
Whoever put it there was going to come back. Yeah, whoever put it there was going to come back.
Yeah, at some point, hey.
Yeah, I understand their.
Once they got out of jail or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
They were going to come back for it.
Yeah.
Finally,
or came back from Australia.
Yeah. True. Finally, this morning, rum and raisin. So, rum and raisin ice cream is disappearing from supermarket shelves across New Zealand. I didn't know this. Many shoppers left hunting for the sophisticated taste. Really? Multiple New Zealand supermarkets say they are reviewing sales for the nostalgic flavour. They have been forced to replace it with more modern treats over the past year. Would love to know what they are. Disappointed?
I love how they call it nostalgic. In other words, only the boomers eat rum and raisin.
Sophisticated.
Sophisticated. Sorry, yes.
Then you have a Werther's original.
I thought we eat gin ice cream these days. That's the sophistication.
I tried a Biscoff and chocolate new flavour yesterday by Cadbury.
Oh, is it good?
I got it for my kids, but it was good.
But not sponsored by Cadbury.
Yes, no.
Yeah.
Okay, so no one cares.
No one cares.
No one cares.
What I do care is about the cost of living.
All right, here we go.
Who can afford rum and raisin
ice
cream these days?
Well, how much does it cost? Can we do a quick Google? How much does it cost for a rum and raisin 2 litre tip top?
Let's
have a guess. Have a guess. Give me a guess.
Well, ice cream's about $8 these days.
Is it?
2 litres, yeah.
So $8.
$12.
12? Okay.
Rum and raisin, I reckon.
Someone's shopping at New World.
Rum and raisin is probably only 500.
New World's good.
It's in a 500 small one.
Still looking.
It's probably too expensive.
Honestly, well, actually, it's been taken off. It's been taken off sale, so you're probably not going to find it anywhere.
It's not even the flavour people like.
Are they using the free chat GPT?
I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I'll do it myself.
It's slow. It's cold today.
$14.
Wow.
What?
And is it for a 1 litre?
He says bougie. So not
bougie. It's bougie.
How much for?
But see what you can get for bougie ice cream.
What does bougie mean, Simon?
Flash.
Oh, Deep South. Have you had that? Deep South vanilla is one of the best ice cream flavours you can get on the market right now. Smooth. Here we go.
I can only afford budget ice cream these days, Ryan.
$9 at Woolworths.
$9 at Woolworths for rum and raisin.
For a rum and raisin.
2 litre though, or 1 litre?
2 litre.
People buy 2 litre rum and raisin.
I mean, you can put it in the freezer.
There's a whole part of society we didn't know about.
Yeah, sounds gross.
Hey, good to see you both this morning. Thanks for coming in as always.
You're welcome.
Dave Latelli and Carmen Patahi on our panel. It is 26 minutes after 8. We're back in a sec.
Stop paying the waiting tax. The money you could miss out on by delaying the start of your investment journey. Up your tempo with Tempo, the guided investment app that helps you get started. Don't delay because you don't think you have enough time, money, or know-how. All you need is a goal, and our guidance will help with the rest. You can do it. We can help. Here's how. Download Tempo now.
Hip-hop and R&B. Flavour.
Here she is. How's the business going?
Good, actually. We just switched to 2 degrees. Well, we tested the networks and couldn't see any difference. But 2 degrees has the most satisfied customers. With Flex, we get instant control of phone plans, data usage, and cost center reporting. And they're the fastest growing business network.
Can I have what she's having?
Ready?
One Roof Property. Love where you live.
Hey, Dad.
What's up? What's up?
You know that's from the 90s, right?
So's this fuel price. 6 cents off per litre on the Gallop, even on top of discount day.
That's what's up.
Download the Gallop. What's up?
Returning to news of Dave Rennie's appointment this morning as All Blacks coach. Earlier this morning, I spoke with sports commentator Sam Ackerman. Started off by asking who he thought might be picked as Rennie's assistants.
Well, listen, I think there needs to be something that will resemble a little continuity. I think Jason Ryan is an assistant coach through a couple of All Black coaches now who somebody could stay in the mix. Outside of that, I really hope they're names that most people go, who? I want the All Black assistant coaches to go back to being assistant coaches, not as important a part of the All Black structure as what the All Black coach is. I want a head coach and other coaches who come in and do the specialist jobs. I think he's worked with some wonderful ones through the Chiefs and Manawatu. He will look to what he knows here. I don't expect him to bring in from overseas at this stage, but I think players, people like Andrew Strawbridge, who've been a wonderful assistant to him in the past and what he achieved in the Chiefs. So hopefully they're going for guys who don't have big profiles. And we're not going to take every Super Rugby head coach like we did under the previous regime.
Yeah, all right. So some anonymous henchmen is what we need. Why
henchmen? What we need is people who don't come in with big profile. Head coaches working all together don't always make the right mix. Assistant coaches know their role a little more.
Know your place. Why do you think he beat Jamie Joseph? Was it because he had a better plan, or was it because of what people said about them?
I think that his reputation with culture, Jamie Joseph is known a lot more hard-nosed as a coach than Dave Rennie is. Neither, both have got strong reputations. It's not a crack at either, but Jamie Joseph is a little feared for some of his training methods rather than David Rennie. So I think I think Dave Rennie's approach to people and the way that he players love to play for him as the person, I think got him over the line in the end. I also think failure overseas and learning overseas has been a massive part for him too.
This no loyalties comment that he made, did Robertson or others have them to our detriment? Was that necessarily a dig at anyone?
I think there's no loyalties to the current squad. Of course he's going to have loyalties, and when he picks players, he'll want to stick with them. He won't be giving a guy a go 1 week and then throwing them out because he dropped a pass. So he will have loyalties. But to me, I read that as he is not loyal to everybody currently in that frame.
Yes.
That said, he isn't even going to be able to get his hands on the All Blacks personally because of his roles over in Japan until essentially the start of that July window. So he's going to need to go with some people who know what they're doing at the test level, who they are, who the captain is. That's all to come.
All right. And now we've just got to win some tests and then the World Cup. Easy.
Handy.
There was Sam Ackerman with me earlier on News Talk ZB. Here's Neva.
Herald Now News, powered by News Talk ZB.
The Defence Minister says it has not yet decided where exactly planes will be deployed in the Middle East. 2 C-130J Hercules will be sent to the region along with 2 consular staff to be ready to help citizens in need of evacuation. Currently, 3,000 New Zealanders are registered with MFAT as living in the Middle East. The government is also in discussions with commercial airlines, including on the topic of charter flights. Concerns the Bondi Beach terrorist attack could have feasibly happened in New Zealand as government agencies warn of extremism. 15 people were killed and more injured after 2 men opened fire at the Sydney beach in December during a Jewish celebration. The incident's ripple effects have been discussed as intelligence agencies fronted a parliamentary select committee. NZSIS Director General Andrew Hampton says it's the type of without warning attack the SIS warns could happen here. A warning that farmers are facing a mental health emergency despite a successful year for the sector. Federated Farmers Southland says although there's confidence in the sector, morale among farmers is low, with a growing number feeling the weight of the industry's uncertain nature, regulatory burdens and social media hate. Southland President Jason Herrick says the isolation and pressures on farmers are a lot heavier than 30 years ago, and it's taking its toll on their mental health. The Minister for Vocational Education says variation across polytechs is expected as they return to independence. 10 institutions resumed standalone operations in January, following the decision to break up Te Pukenga. Otago and Unitec have seen a combined 150 staff leave in the past year, while others, like ARA, have been able to launch new courses. Penny Simmons says polytechs make staffing and program decisions themselves, And she says there are safeguards for students, including a $20 million fund to keep critical courses running in regional and remote areas. Water Safety New Zealand wants to see larger portable pools struck from store shelves. An associate coroner's recommending banning 400mm to 1.2 metre tall pools following the 2022 drowning of baby Majura Rapi Davis. Commerce and Consumer Affairs Minister Scott Simpson says he'll review the recommendations but balance between safety and allowing product choices needed. Water Safety NZ General Manager Gavin Walker says the simplest answer is a ban. The South Island may be the place to be this autumn, with wet conditions predicted for the north. It's Science New Zealand's March to May outlook predicts higher than normal total rainfall for the upper and eastern North Island, and the weather's looking drier for much of the South Island and below average for the west.
Herald Now Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport.
The Black Caps have reached the T20 World Cup cricket final courtesy of Finn Allen's 100 not out of 33 balls, the fastest century in the tournament's history. New Zealand beat South Africa by 9 wickets, reaching the 170 required with 7.1 overs to spare. Former All Black Brodie Retallick claims an eye for detail is what makes Dave Rennie the best choice as New Zealand rugby coach. Golfer Luke Donald has been named European captain for a third consecutive Ryder Cup next year.
Herald Now weather.
Good morning. What a great day we've got ahead of us. High pressure smothers the country with little going on till much later tonight when the next front approaches the deep south. So apart from some low cloud or fog for Dunedin and Oamaru, the day is good here with just a chance of showers later today for Stewart Island and Invercargill. Any low cloud or fog around Canterbury clears this morning, then it's blue sky for the day with afternoon nor'easterlies from Ashburton up to Kaikoura. Now, beautiful weather for the lower North Island. Just the odd morning and evening cloud, northerly strengthen this morning for Wellington. All the early clouds around here clear, then the sun does its thing all day with 23 the high for Tauranga and 22 degrees out east. And the southerly eases this morning for Auckland. There will be some clouds around this afternoon there and also for Northland.
Time now to talk property, thanks to our partners GJ Gardner. As sellers chase top dollar for their property, the gap between hopeful ambition and reality can leave buyers frustrated as reasonable offers get rejected. With advice on how to negotiate a seller in need of a reality check, I'm joined by Andrew Duncan, Agent Monday founder and host of Simply Property podcast, Property thanks to our partners GJ Gardner. Good morning, good to have you on the program, Andrew.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
So how accurate is property appraisal?
I think we just have to look at the incentives they're in. The salespeople are really trying hard to do a good job and give sellers the best possible advice. But the incentives lead to best case projections a lot of the time, especially when agents are competing with each other. It's a commission-only environment. So you often have sellers coming to the market really at the top of the mountain in terms of what they're trying to achieve. And meanwhile, the buyers might be sitting down at base camp, educated, having looked at what's around and having a much maybe more realistic view of where market value might be at.
You just got to basically stick to if you've done your research, especially at the moment with it being a buyer's market, you just got to stick to your guns basically, don't you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And just stay the course. I think that the main message is just to be patient and just understand that, it's a journey, especially for sellers who have just come on the market. If they've been owning a property for a long time, paying the mortgage for all these years, it's human nature to want to get the best you can for your home. And that's what all of us would do. But what you see a lot is buyers getting really frustrated when they make an offer and it doesn't get countersigned, or they don't get into a negotiation and they walk away too quickly, I think.
Hey, what about the agents are obviously involved and are doing the negotiation on behalf of the buyer and the seller. That's basically their job, isn't it, to try and get them to meet in the middle?
Yeah, that's right. And sometimes the middle can be this mythical middle can be a bit of a trap where someone starts out at one point, the seller might start out high, the buyer starts out low, and both sides can end up in this position where they feel like, oh, it's not a good deal unless we meet in the middle. But that's kind of an arbitrary arrangement, right? And where that middle is depends on where each side started. So I'd encourage people to think a little bit past that and to go back to, does this home work for them? Do they love it? Is it the best one they've seen that's going to suit their family best? And in that case, do what you can to secure it. And for sellers, the real valuations that matter are offers on paper. So despite what estimates you might see online, despite what the appraisals say, what really matters is what buyers are prepared to pay for the property. And if you've done a good job marketing, you want to be ready to listen to that market.
Andrew, appreciate your time this morning. Thank you. Andrew Duncan, Agent Monday founder and host of Simply Property podcast. That's thanks to our partners, GJ Gardner. Quick break, back soon.
Term deposit rates are falling, but your returns shouldn't. Speak to a Forsyth Barr investment advisor about alternative strategies, their benefits and risks, and how they can help you meet your investment goals. Forsyth Barr, investment advice.
A lot of radio shows like to say they're with you in the morning.
Here at The Hits, we like to go the extra mile.
Not all of us get to experience this.
Come on, you're running late.
It's going to be a great day today, babes. I can feel it. Spit. You see, when we say we're with you, we actually mean it.
Oh, don't forget Sarah, got social netball tonight. And Mark's working late again.
Jono and Ben with you in the morning and anytime on iHeartRadio. On The Hits.
Welcome back. It is 19 away from 9. Time now to talk business with our partners Forsyth Barr. Herald Now business host Garth Bray is back with us to tell us about Trump's oil and gas promise. Garth, welcome back.
Welcome.
So what more do we know?
I guess we're still trying to price this one up, right? So this is a wee bit of a surprise tweet that popped up yesterday about lunchtime our time from Donald Trump on Truth Social, basically saying, hey, look, we will guarantee very reasonably priced insurance for anyone that wants to move oil and gas through the Gulf, and if necessary, naval protection. Now, a lot of the focus has been on, committing the US Navy to shepherding vessels through the Strait of Hormuz, when at the moment they are still exchanging torpedoes in the Indian Ocean and sinking one. And I guess the risk there is if you actually put a US ship right in there, it's going to be hit with every Iranian missile under the sun. And that's not a great headline either. So there's probably in the market, from the reports I'm seeing, a little bit of scepticism about how soon that would happen. But the real story here is around the insurance risk, because that's the bit that spooked the market. That's the bit that has got some people quietly in the background saying, is this sort of base case that most people are pricing of a sort of a 3 to 4 week period of disruption, and then oil kind of goes back to where it was before? which we're seeing in future prices at the moment for Brent crude and so on. They're sort of, they're still aiming 65 and lower for Christmas. But the idea there being that it's actually a shortage of insurance that stuffs you up, because a vessel on the water, a big vessel, carrying oil, carrying, refrigerated containers of our dairy and all that kind of stuff and meat, has to be insured. If it's not insured, they won't let you dock it. They probably won't let it out of port. Nobody is going to take the risk. Basically, as soon as it's uninsured, it's dead in the water. And about midday today, I believe, reading some of the commentaries overnight, we were going to see quite a chunk of the insurance pools that cover maritime shipping risk and war risk in particular. They were basically lifting their guarantees. And the ones that were left weren't going to just sort of simply step in. They're not really seeing that they've got enough money in the market either. That whole area, from what I understand, there has just been less and less money coming in because the shipping's been diverted, the Red Sea, the Houthis and so on. There's been a long-running conflict there. And so increasingly you've seen maritime traffic drifting other places. So just the money wasn't there, and the risk has become so uncertain that you would potentially see a situation where this would go on a whole lot longer and that the prices would start to creep up. So quite actually a decisive move there from Trump to say, hey, we'll back it. The question is, how do you take that to the bank? How do you take that to the court? And that's what I guess the insurance markets in London and places are still trying to work out. What does this actually mean? Who do we sign up with? How do we get things going again so that trajectory? I mean, we can run some of those oil charts that we saw from just in the last little while showing where the price has gone. I think that's Brent crude, which is showing it's sort of back about, it's not skyrocketing, it's not going to the moon, it's still rising, but I think we're at about $80 a barrel. And expectations there that they're not heading towards that 100 yet that some people were talking about. If you look at the gas prices, obviously in Europe, there was a lot of concern that they were going to take off. They seem to have pegged back some of those massive gains there. I think dropped about 13% in the last 12 hours, 14, 15 hours since Trump made that statement. So good talk, but let's see what it actually translates into and whether the market actually finds it can bank on it once they get there.
Also this morning, the RBNZ and the cash and the ATM issue.
You were hot on that last week, weren't you? You did not believe, and I think a lot of other people were a little bit surprised by this, and we know that the banks felt they were pretty surprised, and so now what we're hearing is, of course, the Reserve Bank has sort of accepted that. They've said, okay, we could have done a better job on talking to our key stakeholders, the major trading banks, that we're about to hit them with a consultation, put it out to the public to say, what do you reckon? Stacks more branches, stacks more ATMs. We think cash still has a very, very viable part of New Zealand's economy, and basically it'll be on the banks to provide that at the tune of sort of $100 million each, I think it was, in round figures, in order to provide, they said, quite a substantial economic benefit. But you've now got, I think, Anna Brayman admitting that they could have done a better job, and some people wondering why she didn't do a better job of explaining that in a lunch with bank executives the day before they put this out. I think it was last week, questioning whether maybe she didn't quite have the full scope of what was planned, on her mind when that was happening, or whether she sort of unsold it. So another little bit of a training wheels moment for the new Reserve Bank governor. But more importantly, I suppose, Finance Minister Nicola Willis saying she expects that the bank's position will be kind of heard by the Reserve Bank, which is again a wee bit of a reversal, considering that it wasn't that long ago that the government was identifying banking along with supermarkets and possibly the insurance market as needing a massive rev up to provide more for New Zealanders. She seems to be responding and taking their side on this one.
And Northland, the Road North.
The Road North, right? So this is a massive consortium, 3 massive consortiums that are looking at Acciona, Vanchi, the people that just bought are in the process of buying a whole bunch of stuff from Fletcher's, its construction arm. And I'm just going to have to find my notes there. Plenary, WeBuild, Gamuda. They're not exactly names that roll off the tongue, but these are huge international infrastructure conglomerates that kind of come in and bid for this. But they need to raise some local debt to try and do that. And basically our debt market locally can't sustain 3 big bids all at once from 3 different providers, is what we're hearing. Because we're talking a couple of $1 billion just to get this thing up and running, the 26 Ks from Warkworth to Tahana. And never mind the 100 Ks that'll get you all the way to Whangarei or beyond, should you be heading to the Bay of Islands for the weekend perhaps. So all of this means that the government is going to have to step in, they haven't said how much, and provide a Crown loan to get it up and running, which is kind of weird when a PPP, private-public partnership, is normally about private businesses taking the risk, taking on the debt and handling that. So a little bit of a question mark maybe about that PPP model and how we're going to sort of push all of this infrastructure we need out there.
Garth, good to have you in this morning again. Thank you
Always.
very much. That is Herald Now business host Garth Bray with today's business update. Thanks to our partners Forsyth Bar. And just a note, if you were watching the show earlier, yes, it was a little bit of a repeat, but we are having technical problems here at the Herald. Right, 12 to 9. Here's a quick break.
When building for investment, it's important to find a team that you can trust.
We decided to build the GJs because they're good quality that they always provide us.
They help us throughout the whole process of getting the resource consent to the building consent, and their contracts are very easy to understand. We have built 4 houses with GJ Gardeners, and it's just easier every time we work with them.
I'll definitely recommend GJs to all of my friends and family.
If you're thinking of building, choose the builder you'll want to build with time and time again.
Luke Combs, Morgan Wallen, Kaylee Bell, Jelly Roll, Megan Moroney, Chris Stapleton. All the country stars have come to play on the all-new iHeart Country NZ. Your new home for country is iHeart Country NZ.
For 150 years, public trust has helped generations of New Zealanders with their wills. Make yours today and ensure the things that matter go to the people that matter.
Know more of the story with Herald Premium, giving you full access to in-depth news, opinion and analysis, with more world news, business insights, and investigative reports from our world-class team of journalists. Plus subscriber-only functionality to comment on stories, access newspaper e-editions, gift articles, and enjoy crosswords and puzzles. Subscribe now to Herald Premium.
Some brilliant news for cricket fans this morning, as we mentioned earlier, with the Black Caps booking a berth in the 2020 World Cup final. They have crushed South Africa in the semi-final overnight with a 9-wicket win. Andrew Alderson, News Talk ZB sports presenter, is with us this morning. Good morning, good to see you.
Greetings, Ryan.
At a very different time of day. It was quite a night last night, or early this morning, wasn't it?
It was indeed, and a really, I guess, a convincing showing from New Zealand. It's a classic, one day you're the rooster, the next day you're the feather duster, with South Africa unbeaten in the tournament, and New Zealand have gone on and just trounced them effectively. 9-wicket win, but I suppose more importantly, 7.1 overs to spare. Finn Allen and Tim Seifert, a partnership of 117 and 9.1 overs, and then they just went on to haul in the 170. So the work's been done effectively by the bowlers early, Ryan, in the form of, Colm McConkey coming in and getting 2 wickets in the power play, and then the spinners doing their work as well. So, yeah, restricting South Africa to 169 for 8. Not enough at a smaller ground. Calcutta's Eden Gardens, quite the cauldron there when you're in that environment. And New Zealand have gone on to dominate.
100%. So who are we going to play, India or England? We don't know yet, but who do you reckon?
I would think India, but England well capable of upsetting them, and it's a bit of a lottery at that stage with some of these games. I think India as hosts, they've got to be favourites, and then from there on, and they'd also be the favourites in the final. But New Zealand, they've been here before. They were against Australia in 2021, and they lost that one. It was, I think, in Dubai in the UAE, not somewhere you want to be at the moment, of course. But this time around, I think New Zealand every chance.
Every chance. Imagine if we did it. Imagine if we did it, and even the hometown advantage that they've got.
It'll be quite the coup. Well, quite the coup for the New Zealand game, but also the players, because if you're doing that in front of the IPL audience, the big money is there on offer. There's extra incentives in cricket these days beyond the international realm.
This is our second time making the final, eh?
It is indeed, yeah. So 2021 against Australia, and now they get that chance again. But honestly, the batting of Finn Allen and Tim Seifert to set the tone, and to be able to play like that in such a pressure-filled circumstance in a semi-final scenario, they were unstoppable. They were sitting up and they were striking it clean. No doubt about it.
Brilliant. Andrew, good to see you. Thanks so much.
Lovely, Ryan.
That's Andrew Alderson, who's with us from News Talk ZB Sport. 7 away from top of the hour now. A family is calling for resignations after their loved one died in a shared cell at a Mount Eden prison. Rob Fitzpatrick's death is one of 3 involving double bunking at the jail in just over 12 months. His family believes their loss could have been avoidable. Investigative reporter Michael Morra reports.
Inside Mount Eden prison, there have been 3 suspected murders in shared cells in the space of just over 12 months. The deaths have raised questions about double bunking and the protocols followed by the prison. One of those allegedly killed by his cellmate was whangarei man Rob Fitzpatrick.
In your mind, Ross, was your brother's death avoidable, and were mistakes made by government agencies?
Yeah, definitely. This whole situation was avoidable.
Corrections says risk assessments are carried out prior to deciding if prisoners are suitable to be bunked together. It's a system now being reviewed. Fitzpatrick was found dead in his cell in June last year.
For that to be his last moments,
yeah,
and that he was alone, it's so hard to sit with, and I just can't think of anything else we could have done.
Rob, who had mental health issues, had been sending unwanted messages to a woman for a decade. In October 2024, the situation came to a head and Rob was served with a restraining order. Despite this, he kept messaging the complainant. In prison, Rob was buddied up with a man who had been charged with attempted murder in what police described as an extremely violent assault on another man at a Mangere bus stop. The victim in that case was hospitalised but survived.
We just want to know why those clowns running Mount Eden prison, from the top down, from the general manager down to the people who were there, who signed off on a decision, why is he a good candidate to share a cell with someone else?
The families say they have not been told what the corrections assessment entailed or who signed it off in Rob's case. What they do know is that Rob's death in a shared cell is not isolated.
Do you have confidence, Ross, that things have changed or are going to change?
No.
After your brother's death?
No, especially since someone died just before Christmas, the same thing, double bunked. I don't know. It's unless they need to change the management there.
Do you think he should still have his job?
No, he shouldn't have his job.
Dion Paki is the manager at Mount Eden Prison. Corrections would not address a question about whether he should resign when asked by the Herald. They cited various investigations and said while the family absolutely deserve answers, they were limited in what they could say right now.
And you can read Michael's full story at nzherald.co.nz. Time for a quick break.
When building for investment, it's important to find a team that you can trust.
We decide to build the GGs because they're good quality that they always provide us.
They help us throughout the whole process of getting the resource consent to the building consent, and their contracts are very easy to understand. We have built 4 houses with GJ Gardeners, and it's just easier every time we work with them.
I'll definitely recommend GJs to all of my friends and family.
If you're thinking of building, choose the builder you'll want to build with time and time again.
Luke Combs, Morgan Wallen, Kaylee Bell, Jelly Roll, Megan Maroney, Chris Stapleton. All the country stars have come to play on the all-new iHeart Country NZ. Your new home for country is iHeart Country NZ.
For 150 years, public trust has helped generations of New Zealanders with their wills. Make yours today and ensure the things that matter go to the people that matter.
Know more of the story with Herald Premium, giving you full access to in-depth news, opinion and analysis, with more world news, business insights, and investigative reports from our world-class team of journalists. Plus subscriber-only functionality to comment on stories, access newspaper e-editions, gift articles, and enjoy crosswords and puzzles. Subscribe now to Herald Premium.
Welcome back. There was a fire at a building in central Auckland this morning. You could see some big plumes of black smoke. It was coming out of the building which houses a number of restaurants, including Denny's, for those who know it, near the Sky Tower. Several fire trucks attended the scene. Fenn says it's now out, blazes out, and they're ventilating the stores. And that is it for us for today. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. We'll be back tomorrow from 7 o'clock for more news. In the meantime, head to nzherald.co.nz. Until then, have a great day.